Let me speak plainly. This is not about your comfort. This is not about your dreams. This is about your bloodline, your children, their children, and every name that will come after yours. Right now, in this very hour, you are deciding if your last name will be a banner of honor or a symbol of regret. You are deciding if your lineage will feast in freedom or beg under the weight of your hesitation. Do you believe your excuses won't echo into your children's lives? Do you believe your laziness, your drifting, your fear of sacrifice ends with you? It does not. It multiplies. Your decisions today will clothe your family in either strength or shame. You are the wall. You are the floodgate. Either poverty pours through you or greatness begins with you. If you don't rise, they won't eat. If you don't build, they won't have shelter. If you don't fight, they will be forced to. This speech is not entertainment. It is war. And if you will listen, not with pride, not with ego, but with the fire of sacred duty, then I promise you, this is the moment everything changes. Sacrifice now, so they never have to. You must awaken, not for your own sake, but for those who carry your name after you are gone. You are not just a man. You are a line. You are the hinge upon which generations swing open or shut. What you build, what you believe, what you repeat with discipline will echo into your bloodline. You are not alone. You are legacy in motion. You have no right to drift when your children will be forced to carry the weight of your indecision. You have no right to spend time foolishly when they will grow up without time to dream. You are the protector, the architect, the builder of a name. If you choose weakness, you are teaching it. If you choose power, you are multiplying it. Everything you do is inheritance. The world teaches you that inheritance is land and coins and letters on paper, but the deeper truth is this. Inheritance is identity. It is belief. It is emotional response. It is confidence or cowardice. It is whether your children will rise and say, I was built for this, or whether they will tremble under the shadow of your indecision. If you are not intentional, you are planting indecision. If you are not decisive, you are teaching doubt. If you are not definite, you are modeling drift. And drift is a disease that does not end in one generation. It spreads, it multiplies, and the only way to stop it is through radical purpose. The purpose you begin today. Your children are not waiting for your words. They are absorbing your patterns. Your silence is a lesson. Your habits are instruction. Your rituals are blueprints for their future. They will inherit your structure. Whether it was built for kings or built for slaves is entirely up to you. I've seen this firsthand. A father who never set a chief aim, who never disciplined his time, his tone, or his mind. He left behind no enemies, but no weapons either. His sons did not inherit poverty. They inherited indecision, and that poverty ran deeper than coin. It touched their marriages, their focus, their very manhood. You say you love your family, then do not tell me, show me. Love is not a feeling. It is the structure you leave behind. It is the internal fortress you construct through daily action and moral fire. To love your family is to become a man of spiritual governance. I teach the principle of the cosmic habit force, the invisible law that builds your life by the habits you repeat. But this law does not die with you. It continues through your line. The rhythm of your household becomes the rhythm of their minds. If you rise early, speak truth, and act in purpose, they will remember. If you complain, delay, and drift, they will also remember. Understand, the law is not broken. It is obeyed or disobeyed. But it does not stop. You may choose the rhythm. But once chosen, it repeats, unless you interrupt it. If you were born into fear, you must birth faith. If you were raised in drift, you must raise vision. If your father lived without aim, you must live with one so clear, so fiery, so definite, that it erases the curse from the bloodline forward. What is your definite chief aim? Is it written? Is it repeated daily? Is it spoken aloud as if it were law? For if it is not, then you are leading a family without a compass. And when the storm hits, they will be tossed not because of evil, but because of your silence. You may think your life is your own, but every child in your home is borrowing your belief system. They are living in the temple, or ruin, you are building. There is no neutral, there is only inheritance, there is only rhythm, there is only repetition, and it begins now. Let the words be etched into your soul. I am the guardian of my family's destiny. I will not betray them through weakness. I rise today so my children shall not fall tomorrow. I think in legacy. I build in purpose. I move in fire. You must live not for comfort, but for continuity. You must measure your actions not by their ease, but by their echo. The man who skips his discipline is robbing his future children. The man who resists sacrifice is handing his line over to slavery. Let every act become sacred. Let every repetition become structure. Let every sacrifice become a stone in the fortress you build for those who come next. And if you do this, if you rise today and tomorrow and the day after, your children will not rise in fear. They will rise in strength, not because the world changed, but because you did. Write this above your door, above your mirror, on your wall. If I do not rise with courage, my children will rise with chains. You are the hinge, the wall, the shield. Be the man your bloodline needed. Be the man history shall remember. Let us move forward, into the next law, into the next pillar, for the weight of legacy does not crush the faithful. It awakens the obedient. You must give up something. That is the law. You cannot rise while clinging to ease. You cannot serve your bloodline while serving your pleasures. Every man who built a legacy sacrificed more than sleep. He sacrificed comfort, entertainment, distraction, and he did it with joy. The poor man asks, how can I enjoy my day? The great man asks, how can I secure their future? One lives for the moment, the other lives for generations, and wealth, true wealth, only answers the latter. Sacrifice is not suffering. It is sacred trade. You give what is temporary. You gain what is eternal. You must learn this now. No man ever inherited power without first sacrificing pleasure. The man who cannot say no to himself will never command the respect of others. If you cannot govern your hand, your mouth, your thoughts, how can you expect to govern wealth, vision, or a family? Every fortune was built on hidden altars, not of stone, but of structure. Edison sacrificed time with friends to live in his laboratory. Carnegie gave up the easy wage to build a harder future. Ford gave up popularity to follow definiteness. Behind every mansion was a man who died to mediocrity. Sacrifice is not optional. It is law. And if you disobey the law, it enforces itself through failure, confusion, and regret. You are not avoiding sacrifice when you choose laziness. You are only transferring it to your wife, your children, your future. If you do not carry the burden now, they will later. You say you are tired. Your grandfather worked until his hands bled. You say you are overwhelmed. Your great-grandmother buried 2 children and still fed the rest. Your bloodline was not built for weakness. It was built to overcome. And that spirit is in you if you stop feeding the excuses. When you sleep in, you teach delay. When you break your word, you teach doubt. When you waste time, you teach neglect. These are not mistakes, they are seeds. And what you sow, they will harvest. Unless you choose to pay the price now, to lay down vanity and take up vision. Every evening you indulge in mindless entertainment is a contract with generational drift. Every dollar wasted on temporary satisfaction is an inheritance stolen. Your habits are not private. They are spiritual contracts with the future. You are always teaching, even in secret. Let this truth ring in your ears. I will give up what is easy so they may live free. The food you avoid today gives them health. The discipline you keep today gives them structure. The dream you protect today gives them permission to dream bigger tomorrow. Purpose must override preference. This is not your era of ease. It is your hour of obedience. Greatness is not built on feeling motivated. It is built on burning desire forged in decision. When you wake tired and act anyway, you build legacy. When you resist comfort and persist, you build structure. The average man trades purpose for pleasure, and then complains that his children inherit pain. You must be different. You must trade the moment for the future. You must choose pain with meaning over pleasure with regret. That is what leaders do. That is what bloodline builders do. Sacrifice is not suffering. It is stewardship. It is the recognition that you are not living for applause, but for alignment. That you are not here to collect feelings, but to construct a fortress that will house your family's name long after your body returns to dust. Ask yourself now, what have I truly sacrificed? What do I still cling to? Are you willing to trade your vices for vision, your excuses for execution, your comfort for command? These questions define whether your children inherit excuses or dominion. When others sleep, rise. When others drift, decide. When others quit, persist. Not for pride, but for legacy. Let the cry of your bloodline ring in your ears. Do not let us fall. And let your answer be action. Let your answer be fire. Let your answer be discipline. Say it aloud and burn it into your soul. I am the sacrifice. I am the price. I give my ease so they may walk in strength. I do not serve comfort. I serve vision. I do not worship rest. I worship responsibility. You were not born to impress your peers. You were born to impact your descendants. And every act of discipline you keep, every temptation you reject, is a spiritual deposit into their future. Sacrifice is your savings account for legacy. Let your balance grow. Imagine your grandson saying, "Because of him, I know who I am." Or your daughter saying, "Because he worked, I can dream." That is worth every night of broken comfort. That is worth every hour of disciplined labor. That is what turns ordinary men into eternal founders. You must become the man who says, "I will not eat until my children are fed. I will not rest until my vision is born. I will not entertain until my purpose is executed." You are the hinge. You are the line. If you break, the chain continues. If you burn, the chain ends. Sacrifice is the fire that purifies your line. Burn away the fear. Burn away the delay. Burn away the ego that says, "This is unfair." It is not unfair. It is sacred. Do not confuse sacrifice with loss. You are not losing anything permanent. You are trading temporary pleasures for permanent freedom. You are exchanging fleshly ease for spiritual dominion. And one day, your descendants will rise and call your name with honor. Let the final word of this part ring in your ears like a command from heaven itself. Sacrifice now, or your family will sacrifice later. Choose. You are thinking too small and too fast. Your thoughts flicker like matches instead of burning like eternal torches. You think in days and wonder why nothing lasts. You think in feelings and wonder why your children suffer. You must stretch your vision across generations. The man who thinks about Friday's pleasure cannot see the chains of his bloodline. The man who plans only a year ahead cannot build a name that lasts a century. But the man who plants in centuries, he births an unbreakable foundation. That is the man you must become. Most men think about how to impress strangers. Great men think about how to free their descendants. The world teaches you to seek attention. Hill teaches you to seek alignment. You must not live for applause. You must live for inheritance, spiritual and eternal. Do not waste your days trying to be seen. Use your days to build what they will stand upon. You must think beyond your own grave. You must make decisions that your grandchildren will thank you for, even if they never know your name. That is greatness. That is manhood. Your calendar reveals your curse or your crown. Do you plan with emotion or with eternity? Are your thoughts governed by what the news says, or are they governed by what your lineage needs? Ask yourself, what decisions am I making today that will still bear fruit in 100 years? You are not late. You are simply underdeveloped in vision. The man who feels behind is the man who judged his progress by the world's noise, not by his own eternal rhythm. Start again, but this time build as though your bloodline depends on it, because it does. Hill said, "The man who cannot think in terms longer than a day will never rise beyond a wage." And I add this, the man who does not think in terms longer than his lifetime will never break the curses that bound his ancestors. This is not about progress. This is about permanence. Great men do not think, "What do I want today?" They ask, "What will my descendants need tomorrow?" They plant not just trees, but forests. They write not just goals, but legacies. They live not for comfort, but for continuity. You must become that man. Let us speak plainly. If your thoughts never stretch beyond your paycheck, your descendants will never stretch beyond your shadow. If your plans end with your own life, your children will inherit nothing but repetition. If your mind is short-term, your impact will be short-lived. The world teaches urgency based on fear. I teach urgency based on purpose. The world says, move fast or be replaced. I say, think eternal or be forgotten. There is no freedom in speed. There is only freedom in direction, and your direction must be centuries, not seconds. Let us now redefine wealth. True wealth is not what you spend. It is what survives you. It is not what fills your home. It is what outlives your name. And to build that kind of wealth, you must think in decades and act in discipline. You must leave behind a blueprint of belief. Rockefeller taught his children stewardship. Ford taught structure. Carnegie taught service, not just by words, but by systems. Their thoughts were organized, their aims were definite, and their calendars were altars where legacy was structured hour by hour. When you think in centuries, you will no longer be seduced by trivial offenses. You will not argue with fools. You will not waste days scrolling through meaningless noise, because your eyes are set on something sacred. You are not building popularity. You are building permanence. Think about your current problems. Do they matter in 20 years? If not, they are distractions. Do your current decisions benefit your future grandchildren? If not, they are drift. Begin filtering your entire life through this question. Will this bless my bloodline? It is time to introduce the concept of generational wealth thinking. This is not about stocks and gold. This is about philosophies passed down like sacred heirlooms. Teach your children principles. Show them systems. Give them more than instructions. Give them identity. When you invest, ask, will this teach them discipline? When you speak, ask, will this echo in their character? When you suffer, ask, will this produce endurance they can inherit? You are not living for self. You are living as the cornerstone of an unseen future. Begin writing your legacy ledger. What truths will you embed in them through daily repetition? What values will govern them when you are gone? What systems will sustain them when your hands can no longer hold theirs? Write it, repeat it, live it. Every single day. Do not just build businesses, build blueprints. Do not just build savings, build souls. Do not just pass down land, pass down law, the laws of focus, discipline, persistence, faith, and definiteness. These are the assets that can never be stolen, taxed, or lost. It is not too late. You can still become the man who transforms his family name from a burden into a banner. But you must stop thinking like a slave to your circumstances. You must start thinking like a founder of a dynasty. The mindset shift must be total. Affirmations to write, speak, and repeat with decision. I do not think in minutes. I build in centuries. My thoughts are not for pleasure. They are for inheritance. I plant oak trees, not weeds. My vision is eternal. When you speak, speak in echoes. When you move, move with memory in mind. When you rise, rise for more than today. Rise for the 1,000 tomorrows that carry your name. This is not motivation. This is succession. This is not inspiration. This is identity reconstruction. You are becoming the patriarch, the foundation, the beginning of a bloodline that will never beg again, and you do that by lengthening your thinking. You are now thinking like a king, not one who wears a crown, but one who builds a kingdom, not one who seeks pleasure, but one who structures peace for his descendants. And that kind of mind cannot be defeated. That kind of mind cannot drift. That kind of mind cannot be broken. Let the final declaration of this part enter your subconscious and become law. I think in centuries. I act in obedience. I build for those who are yet to be born. If you do not rise, they will repeat. If you do not build, they will beg. If you do not confront the curse, they will carry it. Weakness is not an accident. It is an inheritance. And if you do not end it with your life, it will continue in theirs. This is where it ends, with you. A fearful father raises a son who seeks safety. A lazy man raises a son who avoids pain. A drifting man raises a child who dreams but never decides. And none of this is spoken. It is passed through action, repetition, and tone. Weakness whispers louder than words. Let me say this without apology. If your bloodline is filled with poverty, fear, doubt, or failure, it is not your fault that it was handed to you, but it is your fault if you hand it to your children. Your excuses are not valid once you see the truth, and now you see it. The 6 ghosts of fear are not abstract, they are generational chains. The fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death are not only personal, they are inherited. Your children will fear what you fear, unless you cast it out of your house by decision. Hill taught, faith is the antidote to fear. But I add this, action is the proof of that faith. You cannot say you believe in greatness while living like a slave to emotion. You cannot say you want to lead while cowering under comfort. Faith is not what you say, it is what you obey. Look at Abraham Lincoln, born in a one-room log cabin, no formal education, no inheritance, no easy path. But he did not inherit weakness, he inherited obscurity. And he used that silence to build strength. He became the father of a nation because he first fathered his mind. If your grandfather was a coward and your father a dreamer, then you must be the doer. You must be the one who stops the bloodline from repeating its fear. You must be the one who says, it ends with me. It does not pass me. It will not continue through me. Weak men explain. Strong men execute. Weak men cry about their fathers. Strong men become the fathers they wish they had. Weak men wait for the world to notice. Strong men create something the world cannot ignore. You must now choose. Will you be weak or will you become? We must introduce the breaker identity. This is the mindset of the man who shatters generational curses by force of will. He does not inherit identity. He builds it. He does not drift. He defines. He does not repeat. He rewrites. You must now become the breaker. The breaker does not ask for sympathy. He accepts the burden of transformation. He lives with a code. I will endure what my children must never face. And this is not said with pride, but with sacred duty. He understands. The man who breaks the chain must bear the weight of it. Ask yourself, what behaviors do I carry that would destroy my son? Answer it. Write it down. Now commit. Those behaviors die with you. They will not pass. They will not cross into the next life. You are the line. You are the wall. You are the sword. Let us be plain. If you cannot master your emotions, your children will be mastered by them. If you cannot endure discipline, your children will be ruled by chaos. If you cannot define your vision, your children will serve someone else's. You are their ceiling or their floor. To break the chain, you must first break your patterns. Wake early, plan daily, reject distraction, read truth, speak affirmations aloud, repeat your chief aim morning and night. These are not suggestions. These are bloodline rituals, daily, without negotiation. Affirmations to be spoken as law. I am the chain breaker. I carry the fire and I end the fear. I do not hand down excuses. I pass on strength, order, vision, and belief. I serve my descendants by mastering myself. Let us reflect on the deeper law, cosmic habit force. Whatever you repeat becomes permanent. If you repeat cowardice, it becomes culture. If you repeat faith, it becomes fortress. What you do daily becomes what your children do automatically. You must reprogram the rhythm. And do not confuse comfort with love. Comfort breeds stagnation. Discipline breeds strength. If you want to love your family, lead them. If you want to bless your children, train yourself. If you want to give them peace, first master your own mind. Now hear this. Every failure you refuse to confront today will multiply in your child tomorrow. Every fear you excuse today will echo in their life. Every weakness you justify today will become their identity. If you do not act with urgency, you are handing them a curse. Look at Thomas Edison. His mother was told he was mentally broken. She refused that belief. She trained his mind. He grew up and gave light to the world. One act of faith, one refusal to accept limitation. That's what it means to break the chain. You are not born weak. You are trained into weakness. But you can be retrained. You can build a new pattern. And when you do, everything changes. Not just for you, but for every unborn child who will carry your blood. They will inherit your decision or your delay. Choose now. This is not pressure. This is power. You are not burdened by this truth. You are blessed with it. You are no longer drifting. You are now on divine assignment. You are the one your bloodline has waited for. Rise, obey, break the curse. Let us repeat the sacred identity. I am the one who ends the cycle. I do not complain about the past. I command the future. I become the father of a new bloodline, one of discipline, one of power, one of victory. You are not the end. You are the beginning. You are not repeating. You are writing. You are not cursed. You are chosen. And now, by this decision, your name becomes sacred, your habits become holy, your identity becomes armor, and your legacy becomes eternal. Let the final command of this part settle deep into your subconscious. I am the end of fear and the beginning of faith. My children will never know the chains I break today. You say you want to change your family's future, but I ask you, do your actions declare that, or only your emotions? For what is a man's love for his children if it is not forged into discipline? What does a man truly hand down if not the evidence of his daily obedience to order? The destiny of your bloodline is not built in dreams. It is constructed in repetition, in the invisible rituals, in the thankless hours, in the early rising and the refusal to sleep before the duty is done. This is what builds a bloodline, not luck, not inheritance, but discipline. The man who masters his day shapes his dynasty. The one who governs his calendar commands his name to rise. Your life is not random, it is rhythmic, and what you repeat becomes your family's religion. You cannot pass down discipline until you live as its servant. Let this be etched in your mind. Your calendar is your bloodline's will. Every hour you waste becomes a habit your children will inherit. Every goal you abandon becomes a limit they will never question. If you drift, they will drown. If you decide, they will dominate. You believe you love your family, then prove it. By the system you build, by the habits you master, by the focus you enforce. Do not hand down empty inspiration. Hand down a blueprint. Hand down a way of living so strong it outlives your body. Discipline is not restriction. It is multiplication. When a man becomes governed by purpose, everything expands. Wealth grows. Peace deepens. Power becomes automatic. You want to build freedom? Then become its most loyal servant through absolute daily order. What are your rituals? Do you rise early? Do you read truth aloud? Do you repeat your definite chief aim twice daily? Do you review your progress? Do you correct your drift? If not, why should your children live any different than you? Routines are not boring. They are sacred. A man's ritual is his character made visible. A man's schedule is his mind put on paper. If your children copied your current habits for the next 10 years, would they rise or would they collapse? Let me ask you plainly, if your descendants inherit your self-discipline, will it make them wealthy or worried? Will they walk with structure or beg for direction? Will they fear time or will they command it? Your habits are either an inheritance or a burden. You're not just building a business, a body, or a name. You're building a template that will be repeated. What you do in secret will become their standard. They will not rise higher than your current ceiling unless you shatter it. Discipline is not optional. It is spiritual law. The man who moves in decision must also persist in repetition. For a single act changes little, but repeated action in obedience to purpose moves mountains, breaks curses, and erects kingdoms that cannot be shaken. Do not give your children wealth they are not trained to govern. That is not love. It is a curse. Give them identity. Give them principles. Give them the structure that will protect their spirit and multiply their mission. That only comes through visible, practiced, enforced discipline. Every decision you delay trains your family to tolerate hesitation. Every compromise you make becomes a future addiction. Every day you do not lead becomes a day the enemy does. Either you control your habits or they control your bloodline. You were not born to live by impulse. You were born to master yourself through law. You are not to be ruled by fatigue, distraction, or mood. You are a vessel of command. And the man who commands himself earns the right to lead his family into greatness. Discipline is not a tool, it is a crown, and it is not given freely. It is earned in silence, in solitude, in sacrifice. It is polished through repetition. It is tested through delay. And once you wear it, your name becomes a fortress for generations. Henry Ford did not rise because of a single invention. He rose because of systematic mastery. He repeated excellence daily. His hands were never idle. His mind was fixed on definite action. He moved not when convenient, but when necessary. That is discipline. That is what builds dynasties. Do not confuse action with discipline. Many men act, but few move under law. Many are busy, but undirected. Many are emotional, but never obedient. Discipline is not scattered motion. It is focused fire. You burn a trail through history by doing the same thing daily in service to your purpose. The disciplined man does not wait to feel ready. He does not check his emotions before executing. He rises before the world stirs. He commands the day before it commands him. He repeats his affirmations. He tracks his work. He corrects his drift. That is the path. Walk it. Ask yourself again, if my descendants copied my day, would they win? If the answer is no, then change the day. Replace weakness with ritual. Replace guessing with planning. Replace emotion with execution. Replace silence with repeated self-command. Let these affirmations shape your being. I rise before the world because I serve a greater world to come. I am the architect of habit. I build routines that my children will one day stand upon. My discipline is my devotion. I show my love by my law. Discipline is not an inconvenience. It is the very essence of love for your family. When you delay your comfort, you accelerate their future. When you reject laziness, you inject certainty into your household. Your legacy is built in the hour no one sees, but everyone feels. Do not wait for your children to become adults to teach them structure. Teach them now by who you are. Let them see a man who does not negotiate with laziness. Let them watch a leader who obeys his plan. Let them rise not by chance, but by blueprint. There is a reason so few bloodlines rise. It is not because they are hated by God or cursed by fate. It is because discipline has been despised. But you were born to reverse the rhythm. You were called to live above mood. You were chosen to govern the mind with will. Let us affirm again, my routine is the weapon I wield against drift. I love my family enough to live by law, not emotion. My name will be a synonym for structure, power, and peace. Now let me say something that may sting, but it will free you. Your love means nothing without proof. And the greatest proof of love is discipline. Not promises, not tears, not declarations, but order, repeated, without fail, until it becomes identity. End with this sacred charge. You are not late. You are not lazy. You are simply untrained. But now, this day, you must train. You must build. You must wake before the sun and act before the world, because everything they inherit tomorrow depends on how you move today. And if you cannot remember what you did last Tuesday, they will forget your name next century. Build structure that speaks for you. Build habits that fight for them. Build a calendar that echoes long after your body turns to dust. Affirm again, I am the guardian of structure. I do not drift, I define. My children will walk in the discipline I live today. Your love must now become visible. Your identity must now become habit. Your bloodline is shaped not by dreams, but by repetition, by law, by schedule, by sacrifice. Let it begin before the sun rises tomorrow. You speak of legacy and think of houses, land, or banknotes. But wealth without principle is a curse in disguise. What good is silver if your soul is empty? What good is inheritance if your children cannot carry it with strength, clarity, and truth? Everything that can be stolen is not truly yours. You must build what cannot be burned. Character, integrity, identity, conviction. These are the riches that fire cannot touch. These are the treasures that do not rust. These are the gifts that pass through generations, untouched by war, depression, or decline. The man who builds only wealth leaves his family weak. But the man who builds belief, vision, and moral structure, he leaves them unconquerable. There are men who inherited millions and lost it all. There are men who inherited nothing but faith and built empires. Do not let your family inherit cash and confusion. Let them inherit clarity and courage. Let them be named among the righteous because their father chose to build inward first. Your power must not come from appearance. It must come from obedience to eternal law. You are not remembered for what you owned. You are remembered for what you stood for. And if your name becomes synonymous with discipline, generosity, and strength, your grandchildren will walk into rooms your feet never touched, and doors will open in your honor. Build your name like a temple, not a slogan, but a standard, not a feeling, but a frame. You were not born to be remembered for hobbies or luxuries. You were born to represent a principle, a law, a higher way of being. When your family speaks of you, let them speak with reverence. Begin with this question. If all your possessions were burned tomorrow, would your children still know how to rebuild? Would they have the internal tools, the belief system, the self-command? Or would they stand before the ashes and weep, having never been taught how to create? The fire always comes. The market will fall. The banks will close. The titles will vanish. But the man who trained his bloodline to rise, to believe, to obey inner law, he has built what cannot be burned. He has built eternity into his children. There are only two inheritances, what the world can give and what only the soul can pass on. Choose the greater treasure. Teach your sons how to command thought. Teach your daughters how to believe without fear. Teach your household how to speak vision into the silence. Begin writing your family's moral constitution, not in ink, but in ritual. Daily words of affirmation, repetition of identity, prayer before motion, truth before tasks. These are the things that carve strength into memory. These are the bricks of legacy. Let this become law in your household. Every child will grow under truth. Every morning will begin in command. Every evening will close in reflection. No one will drift. No one will guess. No one will fear the future because the structure is fixed. Now understand this. Spiritual wealth requires your full obedience. You cannot pass down courage if you yourself live in fear. You cannot pass down faith if your habits contradict your words. The subconscious is always teaching. Your actions are sermons. So what are you building today that cannot be erased tomorrow? Not just buildings, but beliefs. Not just savings, but self-respect. Not just status, but moral strategy. Build an inheritance that outlives money. Let me tell you a story. A poor immigrant father, no education, no assets, gathers his sons and teaches them three things every day. Work with honor, speak with courage, serve with humility. That was all. And today, his lineage owns companies, churches, and communities. Why? Because the wealth was never money. It was philosophy. Do not envy those who build towers without foundations. They may rise quickly, but they fall in storms. You, however, are building roots. You are building a code. You are building strength that does not require applause. Your rewards will outlive you. Here is your intangible asset ledger. Record these daily. Courage. Did I act despite fear? Integrity. Did I speak and live in truth? Prayer. Did I connect to infinite intelligence before the world's noise? Resilience. Did I rise again when it would have been easier to drift? Service. Did I use my gifts to lift my family and others? These are the deposits. These are the things your children will not forget. These are the assets that cannot be taxed, stolen, or devalued. These are the materials that build dynasties of the spirit. Affirm this now and daily. I build what cannot burn. I create an invisible fortress. I pass on a code, not just currency. My name becomes their compass. My discipline becomes their inheritance. I rise in silence to shape a legacy that no fire can touch. Let every man hearing this understand, what you tolerate today will multiply in your children, and what you repeat today will be repeated by them tomorrow. You are not building a moment. You are writing history with every act of discipline. You must become the patriarch of principle, the man who did not chase trends, the man who did not bend to fear, the man who built a house with unseen bricks, belief, law, structure, courage, and devotion. That house will never fall. Do not mistake this message for metaphor. This is practical legacy. This is structure as inheritance. This is character passed down through example. The new world belongs to those who build unshakable internal economies. So I ask you, have you built something that cannot be burned? If you lost it all, would your children be rich in soul? If the world closed its gates, would your bloodline be fortified in mind? Would they thank you, not just for what you gave, but for who you became? You still have time. Begin today. You were not born to parade your earnings. You were not placed on this earth to impress the crowd. You were summoned here to build freedom, for your name, for your house, and for the generations who will one day carry your blood. The man who earns for status loses both peace and purpose. But the man who earns with vision, he multiplies not only riches, but righteousness. If your motive is applause, you are already poor. But if your motive is freedom, infinite intelligence shall align the heavens to support your rise. Wealth is not evil, vanity is. Riches are not shameful, misuse is. When wealth is the servant of purpose, it becomes sacred. When it is the master of the soul, it becomes slavery in disguise. You were called not to serve money, but to command it for sacred mission. Let me say it plainly. Your family does not need your cars, your gold, or your shoes. Your family needs your freedom. Freedom to decide. Freedom to say no. Freedom to say yes without begging permission from banks or bosses. This is the real reason to get rich, so your soul cannot be owned. Do not measure a man by what he spends. Measure him by what he has secured for those who depend upon him. The man who saves, the man who multiplies, the man who builds with vision, he is the builder of empires. He is the quiet king. He is the one whose children will never beg. So I ask you now, if your children inherit your habits with money, will they be free or will they be bound? If they spend like you, save like you, invest like you, will they build or will they break? Your relationship with wealth is not private, it is generational. You must begin thinking like a king, not for pride, but for permanence. Kings build fortresses, they store grain, they train heirs, They write laws. They defend against drift. So must you. You are not just a man, you are the beginning of a dynasty. Let us look to a man who understood this, Andrew Carnegie. He gave away millions not to boast, but to build the minds of future generations. Libraries, schools, institutions. His wealth did not buy applause, it bought eternity. Why? Because he served purpose, not pride. If you earn for status, you will spend for approval, and you will lose it all. But if you earn for mission, you will preserve, multiply, and transform. Your bank account is a report card of your discipline, your vision, and your ability to withstand foolish temptations. Now ask yourself, what would my wealth serve today if it grew tenfold tomorrow? Would it buy more distractions, or would it fund freedom? Would it multiply waste, or multiply mission? The answer to that question determines if you are ready to receive more. Money multiplies the man. If the man is undisciplined, money magnifies his ruin. But if the man is governed by spiritual law, that wealth will become a weapon of legacy, a tool of transformation, and a shield for generations to come. We must reprogram the subconscious. No more associating wealth with pride. We must associate it with responsibility, with duty, with stewardship. Say this now. I do not earn to impress, I earn to secure. I do not seek applause, I seek dominion. I do not serve vanity, I serve vision. You are not meant to hide from wealth, nor are you meant to be owned by it. You are meant to master it through law, discipline, and clarity of aim. The poor man waits for wages. The rich man commands value through definiteness of service. Let me offer you practical command. Create a written savings plan. Begin investing with purpose. Teach your children about value, not spending. Associate money with mission, not indulgence. The man who teaches his children how to earn, how to save, how to serve, he gives them the keys to escape every system built to enslave them. You must become that man. Not tomorrow, today. Every dollar you save in discipline is a day your children will not be enslaved to debt. Every investment you make with vision is a door opened for your grandchildren. Every time you delay consumption for the sake of construction, you change the future. Wealth becomes holy when governed by purpose. It is no longer gold, it becomes seed. No longer status, it becomes structure. No longer noise, it becomes name. Your bloodline will not rise because of your jewelry. It will rise because of your judgment. Do not be seduced by the world's definition of success. Cars rust, applause fades, clothes rot. But freedom, when passed down, becomes generational force. When your children are free to dream, to serve, to build, it is because you bought them time through discipline. Let your life speak this truth. I earned not for myself, but for those I will never meet. I built not for applause, but for freedom. I sacrificed not for luxury, but for liberty. My family walks in light because I walked in fire. Let your wealth be structured around this vow. No child with my blood shall ever beg. No heir of mine shall bow to the world's poverty program. No soul born from my line shall drift. I build for them. I rise for them. I earn with discipline so they may live in dignity. This is your inheritance plan. Not only dollars, but decisions. Not only riches, but rituals. Not only cash, but character. If you obey the law daily, you will leave something more valuable than gold. You will leave a pattern of greatness. Affirm this: I do not buy freedom, I build it. My riches serve purpose, my purpose serves my people. I earn, I preserve, I multiply for them. Now take inventory. Every purchase, every budget, every expense. Ask, does this secure or seduce? Does this multiply or deplete? Does this serve my name or destroy my seed? Become ruthless in stewardship. Become righteous in structure. Let your wealth be so governed by law that it cannot help but increase. Let it be so filled with faith that no man can shake your peace. Let it be so rooted in clarity that even in drought your family thrives. You are the beginning of a new financial bloodline, not because of how much you earn, but because of how wisely you govern. Remember, the riches you do not respect will flee, but the riches you structure under law, they become your legacy. A moment will come when your children will either thank your name or curse it. That moment is not in their future. It is now. The decision rests not with them, but with you. You are the link. You are the hinge. You are the pivot on which the destiny of your bloodline turns. You must understand this. The soul of your lineage waits on your choice. You are the living declaration of what is permitted to continue and what ends with you. The drift, the poverty, the silence, the excuses, all of it can end here. But only if you decide it must. You are not just breaking your own limitations, you are rebuilding your family's name. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every disciplined act, it rewrites the story. It plants new patterns in the soil of your bloodline. Your habits are holy. Your words are prophetic. Your decisions are eternal. If you fail, your children will carry your fears. If you delay, they will inherit your doubts. If you quit, they will mimic that too. But if you rise, if you speak purpose, if you obey the law, you give them the permission to win before the world ever sees them. This is not just about you, this is about them, and the ones who will never meet you, but will walk in the freedom your sacrifice built. Now I ask you plainly, do you remember the laws? Have you written them down? Have you spoken them aloud? Or have you let them fade back into the fog of your former self? Answer this. What is your definite chief aim? What is the law of cosmic habit force? Who are your invisible counselors? What is the enemy of all progress? If you do not know, listen again and again, until the answers rise from your mouth unshaken, until they are engraved upon your mind like Scripture. This speech is not meant to inspire. It is meant to reprogram. Let me remind you, your definite chief aim is the purpose you were born to fulfill. If you do not write it, you drift. If you do not speak it, you forget. If you do not act on it, you disobey. The law of cosmic habit force is the rhythm of the universe. It rewards repetition. It multiplies what is repeated. Poverty is repeated fear. Wealth is repeated obedience. Discipline is not temporary. It is eternal law. Your invisible counselors are the great minds whose wisdom you channel by focused imagination. Use them. Do not walk alone. You must train your mind to think with greatness daily. And the enemy of all progress? Indecision. Indecision kills more dreams than failure. It leaves a man stuck between thoughts, paralyzed by imaginary opinions, and bound by fear of movement. I now demand this of you. Study this daily. Read your aim aloud. Speak your affirmations without apology. Act with purpose, and never allow one more generation to inherit your hesitation. Let me tell you of a boy. He grew up with nothing but a father's faith. He had no inheritance, no name, no mentor, but belief. But that boy became a leader of nations. Because one man, his father, chose to think differently, to live differently, and the son never forgot. You are that father, you are that mother, you are that link. Let your line begin again with strength. I do not say this to flatter you, I say this to commission you. You are the founder of a new dynasty. You are not a man of the past. You are not a woman of regret. You are the first stone of the new foundation. Say these words aloud, slowly, one line at a time, with belief in your bones. I will not drift. I command my thoughts. I serve purpose, not pleasure. I build for bloodline. I break the chain. These are not slogans. These are spiritual commands. Speak them until they echo through your subconscious. Repeat them until they override fear, delay, and distraction. Let them govern you. Let them discipline you. You will be remembered not for how you felt, but for what you built. Not for your comfort, but for your courage. Not for your ease, but for your example. Let your children say, "He began it. She broke it, they rose, and we now walk free." Do not wait for approval. Do not wait for ease. Do not wait for more signs. You are the sign. You are the proof that a name can change, a destiny can be rewritten, and a future can be rebuilt from ashes into fortresses. You are not late. You are right on time for them. You are not small. You are their answer to prayers they haven't yet spoken. You are not unqualified. You are the one trained in fire to rise in power. And now I leave you with this command. Build, speak, decide, persist, protect, sacrifice, lead. This is your call. This is your commission. This is your moment. And from this moment forward, your children will not wonder what you believed. They will live inside your decision. Begin.